Een lopend wonder van slechts 79 centimeter.
Cheese.
Siamese tweelingzusters.
Have a great day.
You too, sweet.
Verhalen die wereldwijd opzien baarden.
She's 16. She could live forever.
Maar buiten de schijnwerpers moeten patiënten met deze afwijkingen en hun familie een leven zien op te bouwen.
I realize there's something seriously wrong.
Goedenavond en welkom bij Reportage. Al sinds mensenheugenis worden mensen die er anders uitzien dan wat wij als normaal beschouwen tentoongesteld, zodat de toeschouwers zich kunnen vergapen aan hun afwijkende uiterlijk. Deze zogeheten freaks waren een graag geziene gast op kermissen en in de circussen. Het lijkt heel erg mensonterend en vooral achterhaald en ouderwets om mensen zo te kijk te zetten. Maar zelfs nu nog reist er een freakshow door Amerika. Deze keer niet met als doel mensen te laten gruwelen bij de vreemde aanblik van mensen met een opvallend uiterlijk, maar om ze in al hun eigenaardige schoonheid te laten zien. Vanavond maakt u kennis met mensen die zijn geboren als Siamese tweeling, als dwerg, als reus, ja, u ziet zelfs een echte weerwolf. We proberen de mysteries achter deze bizarre aangeboren afwijkingen te ontrafelen. Het kan moeilijk zijn om te leven in een wereld waarin je anders bent. Maar al deze mensen hebben hun eigen bijzondere manier gevonden om een normaal leven op te bouwen.
Being a conjoined twin does not make you this person who's got a daily horrible life.
Laurie en George Chappelle zijn wereldberoemd doordat ze in films en op tv te zien zijn geweest.
Here are Laurie and Dory. Hey guys, welcome. They are conjoined twins, living a very, very happy life.
Maar ze waren niet altijd medialievelingen. Ze werden in 1961 geboren als Laurie en Dory. Ze hadden een hekel aan hun rijmende namen, dus veranderde Dory haar naam in Reba, naar haar favoriete countryzangeres. Later koos ze de naam George.
When the twins were in to see me, they told me that Reba had now taken on the name George. I try not to read too much into that because next week might be another name.
De zusjes zijn een craniopagus-tweeling. Dat wil zeggen dat ze met de hoofden aan elkaar vastzitten, wat zeer zelden voorkomt.
I'm the mom around here. I clean the house, I do the cooking. I always make George's breakfast, and then if I decide I want breakfast, I'll eat. George definitely starts off with a cup of coffee.
Als kind werden de zusjes naar een inrichting voor geestelijk gehandicapten gestuurd.
They could have been sheltered away their whole life, lived in an institution. They could have given up years ago.
Maar in 1985 kende de gouverneur van Pennsylvania hun het recht op zelfbeschikking toe.
Without George saying we definitely don't belong there, I would still be there.
We see them and wonder, gee, how could you possibly deal with that situation? But these two were born that way. They've known no other way of life.
In 1985 schreven ze zich in op de universiteit. Ze waren niet allebei even leergierig.
George loved learning and loved studying, and me, I hated it.
De tweeling studeerde af in 1989.
They are both very bright, intellectually capable of any kind of discussion, and I've seen them in all kinds of emotional ranges.
We both have emotions, but we don't share them at the same time. I don't cry when George cries. If I get hurt, George does not get hurt or feel it.
The real story of Laurie and George is how those two, in that circumstance, have adapted in such an amazing way.
Out of everything here, tell me what you want more importantly. We just have to go straight up here. Everything else is all the way up at the other end.
Laurie is het meest extravert.
Thank you very kindly. You have a great day.
You too, sweet.
George is de stille van de twee en zit vol ideeën.
This chair is a stool I designed. It was then made. It has to fit in aisles So that's the first thing I thought about.
George heeft spina bifida.
Spina bifida is a condition where the spinal cord is exposed.
Dat belemmerde de groei van haar benen en veroorzaakte nog een ernstig probleem.
Because she's in that chair almost all the time. That's led to some sores, some infections, and eventually led to a partial amputation of her leg.
Laurie is grotendeels gezond.
Laurie has lived actually a very medically quite normal life. Of course, what George experiences, Laurie experiences too. So she's been there whenever George has gone through her difficulties and hospitalizations.
I'll get it for you, George.
De zussen hebben geen baan van 9 tot 5. Ze doen vooral werk voor de gemeenschap.
We have a club. It's called the Sunshine Club. And we do things for people in the building. We'll have dinners and stuff like that. George is into show business.
My movie career started with a movie that I did with Armand Assani called Tent. That was done back in the 90s. That's when my music career started.
They've been places that I haven't been. They've met people that I'll never meet, famous people.
De twee hebben ieder hun eigen activiteiten.
I date just like anybody else does. I go to movies or I go to restaurants. Leading separate lives is not a thing that we struggle to do. It comes natural for us. George is not like me and I'm not like George.
Yep, I live here too.
George has things that George has to do, maybe computer work or phone work, which I can do other things while George is on the phone. We get dressed from, instead of the head down, we get dressed up from the feet up. And as you can see, there is no special tops made at all. We don't order special clothing or special shoes or anything like that. We sleep in this bed right here. It's not made for us or anything like that.
De tweeling heeft overwogen om zich te laten scheiden.
When we were born, it was not possible to separate us at all.
This was a big question that went on for years in some debate, whether they shared much in the way of brain tissue, and if they had the same brain.
We have each a full functioning brain that is completely ours.
Maar de artsen vrezen dat George de ingreep niet zal overleven. Voor de tweeling wegen de voordelen niet op tegen de risico's.
It would be a very technically difficult procedure.
We'd have to have 100% guarantee that what we are now would be the same way we are when we were separated.
Dat de een eerder komt te overlijden dan de ander lijkt onontkoombaar.
I hope we never get there, but my guess is that situation will present itself someday.
Maar voorlopig schrikken Laurie en George niet terug voor de uitdagingen van het leven.
Don't put anything on top of that back bag on the bottom, because it's got a tomato in it.
Please and thank you would be nice.
Thanks. I do not wake up every morning going, oh my goodness, I'm a conjoined twin.
If I could educate anybody about anything, it would be about living their life to the fullest, loving what they do, and being appreciative for even living.
They are the definition of an irrepressible human spirit.
Good girl.
If you want an example of what people under the most dire circumstances can do with their life, look at those two.
I've seen other people struggling more than I have ever struggled.
Well, there she is. Good morning, sunshine. How is your sleep? Yay!
Kennedy Jordan Bromley, bijgenaamd de kleinste engel, is al sinds haar geboorte een fenomeen.
She raises people's spirits. She makes people smile. She just has this effect on people, and I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Kennedy's moeder, Brianne, wist al tijdens haar zwangerschap dat er iets mis was.
Kennedy barely ever moved. I felt like a butterfly flutter. So every time I went to the midwives, I would say, is there something wrong?
Op 13 februari 2003 kwam Kennedy ter wereld via een keizersnede.
I took her out and I heard this little kitten cry. That's all I heard, just a little meow.
Brianne en Kennedy's vader, Cord, mochten hun 935 gram wegende dochter mee naar huis nemen, maar de prognose was niet bemoedigend.
That was really hard to just basically know that I was taking her home to die. They told us the best that we could hope is that someday she might smile at us. So that was really hard to hear. How do you wrap your head around every future dream or thought or picture you had in your head of what your life was going to be like, and then change everything about what you think? All of my plans for what my life was going to be are completely different.
Maar Brianne wist dat haar dochter een doorzetter was.
Once we got her home, she was happy and she was lively. And then it was a couple months later that we decided to take off the DNR because we didn't believe that she was going to die.
Na 8 maanden werd bij Kennedy MOPD type 2 vastgesteld, oftewel primordiale dwerggroei.
The division of cells doesn't occur properly, and this is why we think they can't grow as quickly.
Up until that point, every time we saw the doctors believe, every day is a gift because she's going to die soon. Mwah! Thank you. Okay, let's go get cereal.
Love you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Primordiale dwerggroei wordt veroorzaakt door een genetisch defect. MOPD2 is zeer zeldzaam en daarom pas vast te stellen na de geboorte.
They're very small in utero and they're very small at birth, and that's the typical sign of primordial dwarfism. For the most part, they are proportionate. They're like little dolls.
Kinderen met MOPD2 zijn vaak slechtziend en slechthorend. Ze ontwikkelen zich traag en kampen met levensbedreigende complicaties als beroertes en aneurysma's.
Kennedy had problems during her early years. She required tubes to be placed within her eardrums. Kennedy also had a bit of a heart problem that required some surgical intervention. But with her size, it makes it very difficult to surgically intervene with her.
Desondanks bleef Kennedy gezond. Ze bewijst al 6 jaar dat de artsen ongelijk hadden.
She's been through a lot more than many of us adults have been through. And she's a strong little girl.
Maar het gezin moest wel aanpassingen doen voor Kennedy en haar jongere broertje Tyron, die normaal groeit.
Can you help her, Ty? There's a good boy. Good job. Thanks for helping. What's in there? We have to have a little bit smaller utensils and stuff for her. Teeny tiny little spoons compared to regular teaspoon. And your little fork compared to a regular sized fork. So this one could be a little bit smaller for her to use, but you want it? Go.
Passende kleren vinden voor haar dochtertje bleek ook niet eenvoudig.
Length is a real problem because her legs are very long, but her waist is so tiny. So in waist, we're looking at 3-month clothes, but for length, I add 3 inches to the bottom of all of her pairs of pants. Things like sweaters, anything that's long sleeve jackets and sweaters are really hard because her arms, again, are long, but she's so skinny. They fall right off her shoulders.
Bree really found that doll clothes fit better than a 6-month-old or a 12-month-old child's clothes.
It's a good one.
Kennedy zit op een gewone basisschool.
Most certainly is.
Guys, it's raining outside.
Watch out, babe.
Mommy, why is it raining?
Well, because it's just a rainy kind of day. It's a rainy kind of day, isn't it? Yeah.
De eerste klasser gaat goed vooruit, ondanks bepaalde leerproblemen.
Kennedy has had problems with her hearing. Hearing is also very important with regards to processing information within the brain.
I look at her development and she's got a significant speech delay. Maybe she'll catch up, maybe she won't.
In our programming, we try to teach kids that being unique is really a gift. And so what's evident with Kennedy is physically how unique that she is. It's fine to be different.
Good girl, okay.
Kennedy doesn't seem to let her smallness get in the way of anything. I don't think she pays attention to that. She interacts with the kids great, and she's totally in with the program.
School has been amazing for Kennedy cognitively. She's coming home, she wants to read, she is excited about counting and numbers, and I think she sees all the kids around her excited, so she just wants to join in and she wants to be like them.
In het klaslokaal komt ze wel obstakels tegen.
We have computer tables that can lower. down to the height, but it's the same computer that every other child uses. Maybe she uses a different kind of pencil than other children do because her hands are so tiny.
That's pretty silly, isn't it?
Oops. Maybe Mom will come.
Do another oops. Do another one so we can see.
When she wants to use the same water fountain that other kids use, we have to have a stool.
Wow, good job. Okay, high five that. Good. All right.
What surprises me most about Kennedy is her tenacity. She wants to do what every 6-year-old does.
Put your mittens on? All right, suit yourself. Your hands are going to be cold. They will be cold.
In my pocket.
Oh, you're going to put your hands in your pocket, so you don't need mittens.
Organisaties als de Potentials Foundation en Little People of America bieden hulp aan gezinnen met kinderen die aan MOPD2 en andere soorten van dwerggroei lijden.
Potentials Foundation has been a great place for families of people with MOPD to come together. They have recruited a company that makes glasses. They make them free of charge.
Many of them will develop nearsightedness early on because the eyeball doesn't grow properly.
Put him on. Can you look at the camera? Say cheese.
Cheese.
Ondanks deze steun zijn Brienne en haar man Court uit elkaar gegaan.
Courtney and I are good friends and we talk about everything to do with the kids together.
Voor Brienne is één ding duidelijk.
Having Kennedy has changed me, I guess, in a lot of ways. One, just by being a mother. That changes a person, no matter what child you have. What is this, Kennedy? Giraffe. Having her has made me count my blessings. It's made me live moment to moment. I try not to make too many plans beyond today because I really don't know where her life is going to go. So today is today and that's all we need to know.
Zometeen. Deze doorsnee Amerikaanse tiener groeide in een mum van tijd 15 centimeter.
I noticed that lying down, my feet would be hanging over the edge of the bed.
En deze moeder uit Colorado schreef medische geschiedenis.
I was the only person in the world that was even about to attempt this.
Welkom terug bij deze reportage over mensen die zijn geboren in een heel bijzonder lichaam. De 2,18 meter lange acteur Richard Kiel, bekend als Jaws uit de James Bond films The Spy Who Loved Me en Moonraker, en de in 1993 overleden worstelaar André the Giant, die 2,24 meter lang was, danken hun lengte aan een afwijking die acromegalie heet. Het is een hele zeldzame en vooral ook heel moeilijk te herkennen ziekte.
Acromegaly is an overgrowth of tissues in the body. It's usually caused by an excess amount of a growth hormone-like substance.
Probably occurs with an annual incidence of about 6, perhaps 8 patients per million population.
Lifespan is definitely shortened.
Robert Fierro was een normale tiener uit Fresno die ervan droomde om profhonkballer te worden. Toen hij 15 was, begon zijn lichaam opeens snel te veranderen.
I noticed that during my freshman year, I am getting a little bit taller. My friends are shorter than I am, and I noticed that lying down, my feet would be hanging over the edge of the bed.
He's tall, but I never thought anything of it because Bob's family are all tall.
He was a little clumsy, constantly going to the emergency room for falling off his bike, but he was also all boy too, so again, we never really thought about it.
I went from a size 13 shoe size my freshman year in high school to a size 15 a year later.
Roberts symptomen verergerden.
The headache started right around my freshman year in college. They got to the point where I really knew something was wrong.
Toen hij op een dag van zijn werk kwam, zag hij opeens zo slecht dat hij zijn auto langs de kant moest zetten.
I would look at the lines on the roads, and to a normal person they would look straight. But to me, they were at a complete angle. And then that's when I realized there's something seriously wrong.
And he goes, "Dad, I can't see." And he's in a panic stage. I'm like, just calm down.
Roberts moeder, Maria, nam hem meteen mee naar de oogarts bij wie ze werkte, Dr. Victor Narenberg.
This is someone who I had always seen at work in perfect control. And I could see tears welling up in her eyes because she knew that it was serious.
And at that point, she called me on the phone and said, I know what this is. It's a brain tumor. And I didn't know what to expect.
They did the MRI and found a pretty significant tumor. And at that point, he was in a lot of pain.
Just hearing that word tumor, sent my whole body into a worry state. I didn't really know what was going to happen on from then on.
Robert werd direct naar de operatiekamer gebracht.
The right thing to do is to proceed to surgery quickly before things can deteriorate any further.
De tumor was niet kwaadaardig, maar de artsen konden nu wel acromegalie bij Robert vaststellen.
I was upset. The one thing I love to do is play baseball. My thoughts were, what's my future going to be? What's this going to put on my daily life? Am I going to have more health complications?
De chirurgen wisten 98% van het gezwel te verwijderen. Bovendien werd Robert bestraald.
The radiation that we have now is extraordinarily sophisticated. We can now kill anything in a small area inside the brain without damaging delicate structures around it.
Roberts broertje Max deed zijn best om te helpen tijdens Roberts herstel.
Obviously he was worried about me. And since he couldn't come in, to see me, figured he'd do some drawings for me. As far as future treatments, right now I'm on hormone therapy, and it's pretty much like a diabetic. It's something I can deal with.
He now teaches kids to play baseball. That as long as we control Robert's disease, he's going to do fine.
After this whole experience, I would say I appreciate life more. It's crazy how you take your family and your friends and everything around you for granted. And I hold my family and my friends closer more than ever.
Roberts acromegalie is nu onder controle. Tanya Angus uit Las Vegas had minder geluk. Ooit was ze met haar 1,80 meter en 52 kilo een ranke verschijning. Nu is ze 1,98 meter en weegt ze 217 kilo. En ze groeit nog steeds.
They cannot control my growth with medicine.
Tanya vertelde haar hartverscheurende verhaal op tv en bracht zo een beangstigend syndroom onder de aandacht.
I'm still growing. Everything. My back, my head, my feet, my hands, my face.
De artsen weten niet hoe ze Tanya moeten behandelen.
If you treat the tumor properly, lifespan should be normal. That's the key. Diagnosing it, treating it. You have to monitor it and keep up with it.
Rose Siggins uit Pueblo in Colorado is een huisvrouw met 2 drukke kinderen. Maar deze verbluffende vrouw is allesbehalve doorsnee.
You ready to make some mac and cheese? All right, let's find our pan, okay? Pick this pan. Get that pan out, okay? No, not that one. Good girl. You ready?
Rose werd geboren met de zeldzame afwijking sacrale agenesie.
I had legs when I was born, but they were, not to be gross, but kind of mangled.
Sacral agenesis is a failure of the sacrum, which is the lower part of the spine, to form.
Mom.
Yes?
Where's my tie?
Can't find it? Okay. Let me see if I can help you. When you actually talk to a doctor, it's a type of a birth defect where they have to kind of scratch their head and really think back to, okay, what was it that I learned in medical school?
Rose falls in the spectrum of the most severe form of sacral agenesis. None of her lumbar vertebrae have formed, and none of the sacrum. And because of that, she has no nerves to any of that part of her body, which would have helped her legs to develop.
All right, looking for the tie. I put it up here somewhere. I think I found it. The black one? Tie.
De ouders van Rose stonden voor een moeilijke beslissing.
At the age of 2, they amputated my legs. I was taken to the children's hospital, and my parents watched this film about a man, sacral agenesis, and he had his legs amputated. And my mom watched him, how he would walk around on his hands. And she says there was something in his face, in his eyes. He looked happy. Was it social studies? Science. That's good, Luke. I'm proud of you. To school. Okay. My friends would be running up and down the block, and I finally seen a little girl, and she was roller skating. So I told her, "Can I borrow your skate?" I went ahead and just kind of sat on the toe part and just started pushing myself down the block. The neighbor saw that I needed a skateboard because we didn't have one. I use that skateboard all the time, and I found that would allow me to keep up with the kids.
Het skateboard leidde ook tot romantiek. Rose ontmoette haar toekomstige man David via haar werk. Ze zaten allebei in de autobranche, maar het skateboard gaf de doorslag.
When I first seen Rose come in, my only surprise was just seeing on her skateboard, you know, out of everything else that she could be on, wheelchairs, here she is coming on a skateboard, you know, that I thought was the coolest thing.
We first started out friends, you know, it just kind of grew from there.
Ze verloofden zich in 1999.
My mom was the only one at the time who had asked anything about it. How do you get over her difference? And I was like, what difference?
Everybody's different in some way. You know, we have short people, tall people, and I think if people just learn that that's what people are like. Stop discriminating, stop hating, just because people are different.
No, you don't need those whoppers. Hey, you got a car? Wow.
At first, it was very hard for me to get used to everyone staring. You got that macho attitude, what you're looking at. Rose just kind of said, you know, if you're going to do that, you might as well quit your job because you're going to have this never-ending job of walking around telling everybody, hey, what you're looking at. You know, you realize everybody's curious, so they're all going to look.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Enkele maanden voor het huwelijk ontdekte Rose dat ze zwanger was van haar zoon Luke.
The reaction when I found out Rose was pregnant was definitely a surprise. And then the doctors were more concerned about that than we were.
The first one that I saw wasn't very supportive of the whole pregnancy. I think it's because he probably Googled it and realized that I was the only person in the world that was even about to attempt this.
Haar voortplantingsorganen waren intact, maar de artsen vroegen zich af of ze haar zwangerschap wel kon voldragen.
In Rose's case, since she doesn't have a spine and her pelvis is very small and sort of rudimentary, and when she sits on it, it collapses up. So all of her organs get pushed upward, and as the baby develops, instead of developing out in front, it will develop sort of in all directions.
I had so many doctors that were worried about so many different things. I stopped worrying. Why should I sit there and worry about things I don't even understand?
Luke Siggins kwam op 6 januari 1999 via een keizersnede ter wereld.
We had Luke. I had no problem. It was great. It was a miracle.
It was miraculous, not because circular genesis leaves you without the female parts to be able to have children, but because not having a lower spine leaves you with very little support to be able to be pregnant.
I was always afraid that the nurses were going to look at me like, you're a freak, and look what you did, you brought the child into the world, and now he's gonna have a freaky mom. And this woman, I'll never forget, she said, you're Luke's mom. Well, here you go, here's your baby. And never once did she refer to my disability. She treated me like a woman.
Rose nam ontslag bij de autoshop waar ze werkte en werd fulltime moeder. Maar haar tweede zwangerschap kostte haar bijna het leven.
Lots of things went wrong with that pregnancy. I started having unexplained bleeding. We had a few emergency visits, and I remember making all kinds of promises to God and, you know, please let my baby make it. Take me, just don't hurt the kid.
Haar dochtertje Shelby werd met 35 weken geboren.
In the process of, you know, removing the kid, you know, the doctor finally realizes, oh, yeah, you got a problem with your gallbladder. And remember those chest pains you were having? Your appendix. I remember at the very end, the OB said, hey, do me a favor. Forget my name. Forget my number. We're not doing this again.
Rose zal met de jaren steeds meer fysieke klachten krijgen.
My shoulders kind of act like somebody's hips, and they're not meant to be, so they're wearing down a lot quicker. My elbows are pretty much the same as your knees. They're wearing down too. So there's some chronic pain, you know, but you just bite it and go forward.
She's overusing joints that weren't designed to be used in the way she's using them, and she's likely to develop arthritic problems. I think she realizes that there's going to be some decisions coming down the road.
Wheelchairs, she doesn't like them at all. She thinks of herself badly if she's in a wheelchair.
Certainly there'll become a time in which she'll need some more help from others, but it would surprise me if that was very soon.
Okay, find me some butter. Tickles!
Ondanks deze vooruitzichten geniet Rose van het heden.
She's the best mother I could ever want for my kids.
I've got you.
mine got you.
She's a woman that can go out and change your brakes on your car and still have your laundry and your kids taken care of.
Luke has no problem. He treats me like a regular mom.
That's my mom. And ever since I was born, you just get used to it.
Seeing her confidence, seeing her ability to not be swayed by anything anybody else does, says, or thinks, really allows you to feel more comfortable with yourself.
At a very young age, 9, 10 years old, I knew that I was never going to be that perfect model. So I was able to accept that, and I was able to be okay with that and know that I'm not going to be perfect. So I learned to love myself for all of the faults that I have.
Ready? There you go. She holds on, and off she goes. There was a Guinness World Book of Record for swinging. She would win.
Brooke Greenberg zal misschien ooit het Guinness Book of Records halen, maar niet met schommelen.
She has something that nobody else on the planet has.
Het klinkt onvoorstelbaar, maar op 8 januari 2010 werd Brooke 17 jaar oud.
Nobody knows what's going on with Brooke. She has something in her chromosomal makeup that inhibits her to age. In reality, she could live forever.
Melanie en Howard hebben 4 dochters. Brooke is de derde.
Come on, let's walk over here. Show everybody how you walk. Okay. Good job.
Al voor Brooke werd geboren wist Melanie dat er iets anders was aan deze zwangerschap.
The doctor would say, you know, I'm not sure about the growth. By the time I got to the 8th month, they started doing tests and decided they wanted to do a C-section.
Brooke werd een maand te vroeg geboren en lag 30 dagen op de neonatale intensive care.
She was born with anterior hip dislocation, which means her hips were on backwards. It's extremely rare. The orthopedist said we will fix it and life will go on.
Maar er waren meer problemen.
She started getting pneumonia and she was susceptible to catching anything, not like the other children.
First year and a half, we noticed she was not developing in her growth or her height. We tried everything we could to put weight on her. We gave her some growth hormones and that didn't work. She was in the hospital all the time. From 1 to 5, she was in the hospital maybe 60% of her life. She has escaped death 4 or 5 times. Every obstacle she overcame. All right, Brookie. Well, we go inside, watch a little TV. The Ravens are on. Her favorite football team is the Ravens.
De jaren gingen voorbij, maar voor Brooke leek de tijd stil te staan.
She doesn't age.
The best guess is that she has a genetic problem. The hypothesis we're working under is that she has a spontaneous mutation of the genes that control the developmental program.
Dr. Richard Walker, een specialist in groeistoornissen, bestudeert Brooke al jaren.
Parts of her are developing at different rates. She appears to have the dental age of about 6 or 7 year old. Her cellular age seems to be much older than her total body age. To give you some idea of how little she's changed, she was 5 years old here, 8, 11, and 15. Now in her 17th year, she doesn't appear to be much different.
Hey, princess. Now your shirt's all messed up.
I wouldn't explain it to a new friend. I would have to get to know them before to explain what's with Brooke. I mean, I grew up with it, so it's just normal to me.
Usually when we're out and about with Brooke, people don't really know, and the first thing they say is, oh, how old's that little baby? And I never tell them her age because you get amazing looks.
Or we have to go into the whole story.
The whole story,
so
and it's just it's not worth it. So whenever Brooke was 12 years old, and I would say 12 months old, it's just too hard for people to understand. It's just not fair for us to sit there in front of Brooke and explain like she's a science project.
Yay! Gotcha!
When she goes to school and they do testing on her, she could be 12 to 18 months in physical motor skills, 9 to 12 months in cognitiveness. It depends on what the test is about.
We have here an MRI of Brooke's brain compared to just a generally normal brain. One estimates the age of this brain at less than a year.
I think that she is a lot smarter than everybody thinks, but in her own way.
She understands. She might not be able to verbalize back, but there's some understanding with Brooke.
Brooke heeft een fulltime verpleegster en gaat naar een school voor kinderen met speciale behoeften. Maar in veel opzichten is ze een normaal kind.
Brookie loves music. She loves when the radio is playing loud. She loves someone to dance with her. She likes being independent. She's no different than the other girls in the house where they want to be by themselves.
Every now and then the bus driver lets her drive the bus home. She's just a really happy-go-lucky child.
We watched Kardashians yesterday, and she was just tearing up laughing when they got to where they were having the wedding dancing. She really loved that.
And everybody says you would always like to have your baby forever. We look at it differently. I mean, in our hearts, we would always like to see Brooke grow up, see her go to a soccer game or drive a car or do whatever. But we're blessed.
One of our doctors told us just think in the moment and give her the best you can for that day. And basically that's what we do.
Door Brooke te bestuderen hoopt de wetenschap het raadsel van het verouderingsproces op te lossen.
We have been told that Brooke is 1 in 6.5 billion. She is that rare.
Brooke may bring us the secret to aging by virtue of giving us the genes that actually are responsible for it.
But she's a lovely girl. Right, Brookie? Brookie, you're more fun. She will laugh. Not today, not now, later maybe.
I couldn't imagine our life without Brooke.
Zometeen, waardoor deze Indonesische man in een menselijke boom veranderde.
He couldn't comb his hair and he couldn't fit his hand for a shirt sleeve.
En een levensechte weerwolf. Hoe deze man een zeldzame vloek veranderde in een zegen.
We don't have nothing to eat. So we had to make money one way or the other way.
Welkom terug bij Reportage. In 2007 werd de Amerikaanse dermatoloog Dr. Anthony Gaspari gevraagd om de 35-jarige Indonesiër Didi Kosawa te onderzoeken voor een tv-documentaire. De bijnaam van Didi is de boomman. Hij is van top tot teen bedekt met wratten en uitgroeisels en zijn handen en voeten zien er letterlijk uit als boomtakken. Hij lijdt aan het veel voorkomende humaan papillomavirus.
When I first saw him, he was in his home in the middle of a jungle, rural fishing village. And he was very striking appearance. You couldn't see the shape of his hands. You couldn't see his feet. He had a carpet of warts that spread up past his elbows. You couldn't see any clinically normal skin. He had numerous warts on his face, and he had warts on his chest and his back.
Didi raakte besmet als tiener.
He scraped his knee, and that served as the portal of entry for the human papillomavirus, or HPV, that caused the infection.
HPV is een veel voorkomend virus dat wratten en soms kanker kan veroorzaken.
The wart virus kind of hijacks the cell, and it forces the cell to overproduce this keratin and produce these giant growths.
In Didi's geval kan het virus doorwoekeren door een zeldzame immuundeficiëntie.
It was a silent disease until this papillomavirus took hold. So then instead of behaving normally, this viral infection, it gradually spread across his body.
De wratten waren niet pijnlijk, maar het dagelijks leven werd een worsteling voor Didi.
He had difficulty holding things. He couldn't comb his hair and he couldn't fit his hand for a shirt sleeve.
Dorpsgenoten noemden Didi de boomman.
Basically it felt like wood, hence he acquired the name Tree Man. He has all the aspirations of a normal 35-year-old Indonesian young man. He wanted to work, he wanted to be married, he wanted to take care of his family, and he did state to me that his wife left him because of his deformity.
Didi trad een tijdje op in een circus om zichzelf te onderhouden.
People would pay money to take pictures. It's kind of a throwback to the Barnum and Bailey circus and the freak shows that we had in the United States in the early 1900s. So it's one of the ways they cope with it. They make a little bit of money with it.
Maar de uitgroeisels werden zo zwaar dat Didi niet meer kon lopen. In 2007 besloten Indonesische artsen hem te opereren.
They used the bone saw to saw through all of those roots that were emanating from his hands.
De artsen verwijderden ruim 6 kilo wratten en hoornweefsel.
It turns out that his bones were so thinned out from osteoporosis from years of disuse that they literally began crumbling. So they couldn't progress with the surgery and they stopped.
De Indonesische artsen wilden huidtransplantaties uitvoeren, maar Dr. Gaspari vreesde dat de wratten terug zouden komen. In plaats daarvan schreef hij chemotherapie voor.
We're trying to target the T-cell defect and specifically replenish something that's lacking.
De behandelingen lijken te werken, maar Didi heeft nog wel steeds financiële steun nodig.
We've established a fund at the University of Maryland Foundation, and we've gotten some very nice donations from some generous people out there that have heard about his story.
Hollywood is al meer dan 50 jaar geobsedeerd door weerwolven. Van klassieke griezelfilms tot de hedendaagse kaskraker als de tweede Twilight-film New Moon. Larry Gomez profiteerde van deze fascinatie. Hij lijdt aan de zeldzame aandoening hypertrichose, beter bekend als het weerwolfsyndroom.
There are probably less than 100 cases described worldwide.
Larry heeft het syndroom al sinds zijn geboorte.
Hypertrichosis can be caused by a number of different things, and genetics is a big one.
In my family, my brother with the same condition, my sisters don't have it, and I had another cousin with the same condition.
Het risico op hypertrichose is hoog in families die het gen dragen.
There are certain ways of inheriting a condition that is a 50-50 type of a thing. And that means about half of the kids that you have are going to have hypertrichosis.
Larry's katholieke moeder moedigde hem aan om zijn aandoening te aanvaarden.
He told me he had to believe in God and the ways he make the people. So he make me like this and it's not difficult. It's something great, something good.
Larry groeide op in een arm dorp in Mexico. Er waren weinig mogelijkheden voor een jongen met het weerwolfsyndroom.
I start working the circus because in my little town we don't have nothing to eat. That's the truth. So we had to make money one way or the other way.
Larry werkte 14 jaar bij het circus. Hij verhuisde uiteindelijk naar de VS waar hij contact legde met talentenjager Chuck Harris, die is gespecialiseerd in afwijkende artiesten.
People want to know about him, so I'm able to take him all over the world for television shows, and he makes a very nice living doing that.
Wow! So has he ever thought about removing his hair?
¿Alguna vez te quisiste sacar el pelo?
No, por mí.
No, I never.
No. The hair around the eyes, it bothers you, but you don't want it trimmed, huh?
No, it's not a problem.
There are a number of treatments that we use to remove hair, things like waxing, depilatories, plucking, electrolysis, and lasers.
He actually feels blessed he looks like this, which is amazing.
I cut my hair on the head once in a month, but I never touched my face because it's never got long. Stay like that.
In Larry Gomez's case, the hair on the face only grows to a certain length because of the length of the growing phase.
This stays, it doesn't get any longer, apparently. So the base of your scalp hair grows, but the facial stays this way. So, it doesn't require any shaving or maintenance. That's a good feature because it's not in your lips. So you got enough space right here.
Yeah.
Larry's aandoening heeft zijn geluk niet in de weg gestaan.
I was married, I have a son, he's beautiful, almost like me, almost. He don't have hypertrichosis, it's totally normal.
Looks good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Looks better than me.
Larry is inmiddels gescheiden en weer klaar om te gaan daten.
Larry attracts more beautiful women than I think I could ever chase in my life. And that pisses me off like I can't begin to tell you.
Larry heeft genoten van de spotlights, maar wil nu de showbusiness achter zich laten. Hij studeert Engels en hoopt werk te vinden als elektricien.
If I can change something about my life, I spend more time to learn. You have to learn everything the best you can do.
Het kan moeilijk zijn om te leven in een wereld waarin je anders bent. Maar deze patiënten en families hebben bijzondere manieren gevonden om een normaal leven op te bouwen.
Yeah, Mommy gonna show you where. Okay, you do it with me. Do it together.
Everybody's always trying to be perfect. I mean, the media tells us that this is what a supermodel looks like, or this is what this movie star looks like. And we just need to accept each other for who we are.
I wouldn't change anything really, because there's nothing that I find so bad that I want to change it.
Tot zover deze reportage. Volgende week zijn we er weer met een opmerkelijke documentaire. Voor nu, bedankt voor het kijken. Een hele goede nacht en graag tot volgende week zondag.